we're going to do this whole thing where we're going to go to each three manufacturers, and as I go along, please join me. Put it in the comments. I'm going to go through each manufacturer, and I'm going to say, dear manufacturer, I would love to see this from you going forward. Doesn't necessarily be in 2026. I would love it to be. Doesn't necessarily have to be. But going forward, I would love to see this or these features from said camera manufacturer. I'm going to start off with Blackmagic Design, since they're the company that I've worked with a lot recently, and I've been enjoying the PYXIS 12K. I've been enjoying the autofocus in the cinema camera 6K, but there's still a lot to be desired. So if you guys have Blackmagic desires, feature desires, leave them in the chat now. So I'm going to start off with these three. Dear Blackmagic, number one, I would love to see autofocus in the PYXIS 12K. I think that's the first obvious one, if it's even possible. Again, I don't know if it's possible. I'm not an engineer. I don't know if it's possible. But if it is actually possible to get autofocus, continuous autofocus on the PYXIS 12K, I would so love to see it. So autofocus on the PYXIS 12K. Number two thing I would love to see, and for me, is monitor and control application support. To me, this is one of the weak factors of Blackmagic compared to the rest of the field. Look, image quality, they got it. You know, a lot of their cameras, especially the PYXIS, their Cineline, A1, fantastic. But I would love it. Nothing would make me more happier, especially with the fact that we now have autofocus on both the PYXIS 6K and we got autofocus on the cinema camera 6K. I would absolutely love it if there was a way that there was an app that I could go ahead, take control. There's been workarounds, and I know Michael Tobin has sort of showed us the way to work around to do monitor controls, but it's such a cumbersome, and honestly, it shouldn't be a headache to try to get monitor controls. This is something that almost every single other camera manufacturer has. Some sort of monitor controls, but Blackmagic doesn't have it. Now, they do have a Bluetooth app, but they haven't updated in years. And yes, you can still connect it to all of their cameras that have Bluetooth connectivity, but it's very limited, and the interface has not been updated in so long. And basically, it's outdated, it's archaic. The interesting thing is they have the Blackmagic camera app. I would really love it if they can update the camera app to where it can be a monitor control. So if I want to have my cinema camera 6K on a tripod, look at here, yes, would I love a fully articulate flippy screen? Sure. But honestly, I would be totally okay if that wasn't the case, if I could just have a connectivity like I have right now. Like right now on my iPhone, I'm looking down at my FX3. I have full control of the camera. I can switch the autofocus on, I can turn it off, I can change my white balance, I can have all different exposure tools, anamorphic. Like simply that would, to me, would take Blackmagic to a whole different level. And like I said, this is stuff that I think they can do. I hope we can see maybe in their camera app where or even if it has to be a completely different application, monitoring, but basically having a remote monitor control app, to me, that would be a A1 sauce for me. And then the last thing for me for Blackmagic is for the cinema camera 6K full frame, and for the cinema camera 6K full frame, I would absolutely love it if there was some compression options. With the RGBW sensor cameras, I don't expect that because Blackmagic RAW is viable to how the sensor scaling works in those cameras. So I can totally get why we may not see it in those cameras. But with the cinema camera 6K or even the PYXIS 6K, since it is an older sensor, you're not getting any of the benefits of the RGBW sensor. I don't see why we can't have some sort of compression option, especially like H.265. I don't even need ProRes. I know some people are going to say ProRes, and I totally get why. But honestly, for me, just given the fact of the world we're living now, where we really have to micromanage our storage capacity because like media storage is getting outrageously expensive now. Nothing would make me go out and travel and start using my cinema camera 6K, because I'm at a point where I don't need to rig up the camera anymore because I got autofocus. I got autofocus. Pull this out. These guys right here, this Enu power bank, I can power the camera for like 6 hours. And I've MacGyvered like a V-mount plate, so I just needed like a little V-mount on like a monopod, and I could basically take it everywhere and just shoot all day with it. So that's one of the benefits to me for having like that. So basically, I can basically keep the camera 6K, not have to rig it up, which was always been my dream. The only problem left is that I only have Blackmagic RAW to shoot, and that especially given the fact that I can't shoot in smaller resolutions without cropping in on the sensor. So I'm left shooting with 6K options. I would be totally fine if we can get 6K open gate, or just shooting in an H.265 to really compress and bring those and manage those file sizes. I think this is something Blackmagic may be interested in doing, knowing the fact that, hey, again, they may not be able to do it with the RGBW, but that's fine because you could shoot 4K full sensor and Q5, and it's actually really, really small files. So it's not as big of a deal on those cameras, at least the PYXIS 12K, compared to the cinema camera 6K and that.